Hi, everybody. This is Sonnet here with ZM Wise. He is back with us again. Hi, ZM.
Hello, Sonnet. Always a pleasure to be here with you, dear.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really, I get really excited when you come around because you are an amazing poet, an amazing writer, and
Shucks.
you have some really, really good stuff, and it's always really deep and really heartfelt. So it's pretty exciting. He actually wrote a piece about twin flames that we really, really want to share with you guys. It's pretty incredible. So we will get to that at the end of the show or on another installment. But we want to talk to you guys a little bit about purging, because as we know, on this journey, all of us purge. It's part of the process. So we wanted to talk about how we purge, how we deal with it, how we ease through the purging, and how we manage to get through it. So when purging comes to relationships and separation, it's although it's a difficult thing, it's a good thing because it is cleansing the spirit, the soul. It makes us stronger. But how do we deal with it? So ZM, I know just recently in the last few months you were going through a heavy purging. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. I remember like it was just yesterday, as they say.
Right. And so when I came to see ZM, I remember seeing you, and I could just tell that something was going on. It was very intense for you, wasn't it?
Extremely. I couldn't explain this. I thought I could. I thought I built up enough rational thought, enough logic to explain what was happening, and I guess the chemicals inside me were out of balance, I suppose you could say.
Extremely.
Extremely. Thank you for that. And yeah, I went through quite the ordeal there. I call it a mental maelstrom because that's really what it was. It was a storm that would not stop. It felt like this intergalactic battle inside my head, and I thought the only way out would would be to just forget about it or just bottle it up, but that is before I discovered the wonderful power of purging.
Right. So basically, not to go into too much detail here, ZM, but the reason why you were purging is because of an unfortunate event, right? Something that was it was not, you didn't foresee this coming, right? It was unprecedented, with a specific individual, and so things happened, and it was something that you were hoping for, but it became a disillusionment. But how did you deal with that? I know when you go through the purging, we often feel alone in this. We feel like no one can understand because it's a pain that only we are feeling and experiencing, correct? How did you manage it? What were you doing when you were purging and when you were in solace throughout the day and throughout the night?
Well, Sonnet, it went a little something like this, you see. I after this event happened, with this lovely person, and she is a wonderful person. By the way, we've stayed friends, and I haven't felt like this about anyone in about estimating about 8 years.
Wow.
So yeah, quite a lot, and I thought it was those moments where you I'm not going to lie. I did have a couple like futuristic scenarios, like those
Right,
those
right,
those sorts of visions,
right.
and
It was
I
like that song goes, I don't want to come back down from this cloud.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you were
A real
on a
trip.
high cloud right there.
Number nine. Number nine. Yeah. So see what had happened was I was going through a lot already, but then this was the ever-loving Lulu of all times. This was the topper.
Twitter
And
paid it.
exactly. Wait, what?
Twitter paid it. You were Twitter paid it. You
Oh.
were in the clouds.
Yes, that's true. That's true. At first I thought that word was invented when Twitter came about, but then I remember that word from my childhood, and I thought that's impossible. Twitter was not invented yet. Anyhow, I digress heavily. No. Yeah, I was so mixed up about this. I wrote this. I wouldn't exactly call it an epic poem. It's not long enough to be an epic, or it could be, but it was a 14-part piece about her, and I sort of mixed the following elements. I mixed anthropomorphic creatures, mythology, demonology,
Wow. Wow.
nature, the future. Of course, the elements of love, hate, envy. Of course, envy it really is a killer, and it's wasted energy. You don't know it at the time. Sometimes you can't help but feel. You can't suppress something like that. But it's good to just release that. So, as far as the purging, thankfully I went to go visit my brother, who lives in the mountains, and it was a genuine pleasure to see him. I mean, we've been closer than close for quite a few years now, and it's been the best relationship with him in the world. He really helped me take my mind off of things. And plus I needed that clean air as well. As far as purging itself is concerned, there was a time I actually didn't eat for 3 or 4 days straight.
I could tell.
I had I had water. I did have water. I wasn't stupid about it, and I wasn't starving myself or anything. I just genuinely did not feel
You had no
hungry.
appetite.
No appetite whatsoever. There was a lot of crying, a ton of meditating, and I will get to the point where I will use meditation as a daily practice, but for now it's more of an as needed basis.
It's a necessity.
Exactly, yeah. But for me, it works. And for me, meditation itself, it's half creative and half spiritual. That's what meditation is to me. There's a lot of that. And then, of course, writing and singing as well. In this 14-part piece, there are about 4 or 5 pieces that could be made into songs. And I did sing about this a lot. And I wrote quite a few pieces that could be considered as songs that were outside this piece. But all in all, after releasing all of that negative and wasted energy, I felt more
That
renewed.
wasted energy made you stronger.
Indeed. I felt more renewed than ever. So that's my little purging story. Are you still awake? Are you? Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty intense for you, ZM. I remember seeing you, and I saw myself in you because, I know exactly what it's like to purge. Purging is not just always negative. It's always a good thing because, again, it makes you spiritually stronger. It's you're cleansing your soul, and it makes you a stronger person. It's also, it's building tolerance for what's to come, so it makes you a stronger person in the future with whoever else you meet or whoever you're meant to be with. Just makes you a lot stronger. But the way that that I deal with my purging is in many different ways. I like to spend a lot of time in solace, to be honest with you. It's the best time to clear the mind and the thoughts, and I get to grow and know myself more, because there's no energetic interference from other people. It's just me, myself, and I. And so also another thing too that is very beneficial is nature. Like you said, you were up in the mountains, and that is really, really helpful when it comes to purging, because you're in a different space, you are around nature. And so yeah, also too, just detoxing. And one of the things that I really like to do is I like to immerse myself in in my art. You know, there's a lot of catharsis going on. I just like to paint and express all of my feelings into the art. So yeah, that's how I deal with it, you know. Instead of keeping it bottled in, I express it and release it through the works of art, or, you know, I sing, or just different things like that, you know.
Definitely. Well,
You have to release it. You can't just bottle it up. You can't.
yeah,
It can cause so much damage.
as I learned the hard way, in the very, very stubborn way. I had remembered, I did have an experience like this a while ago, sort of leading into what we'll be speaking about next. I had a similar experience, and it led me to a certain relationship, and I seriously thought I would end up with this person. And like I said, she's the one of the only people who I've felt like that. Excuse me. I guess in 2008, I would say. The only other person I've had such futuristic visions about. And but it leads into our next topic, which is catalyst, of course.
Yeah, the catalyst. Before we get into catalyst, though, I just want to say about purging that, you know, we all purge differently, you know. ZM, some people like to just go wild and you know, do different things like that. Spend time around people. If you are an extrovert, it all depends. But when it comes to purging, I like to be by myself. I like to be alone. And this is something that when I was going through the dark night of the soul, after I met my twin, I just wanted to be alone. I wanted to be in solace. And I remember my sister and my family, they would always say, well, why do you go and, you know, close yourself up? Why are you always wanting to be alone? They had never seen this side of me before. Again, because I'd never felt this much pain before. And so this is a side of me that they had never seen before. So it was so difficult to explain to them that this was not personal. This was something that I just needed to handle and deal with myself. And, you know, purging for me is, you know, I just have to be alone. You know what I mean?
I do. Solitude.
I have to.
Solitude. Over the years, I've grown to love it. In fact, I went through a role reversal with someone growing up, and he used to be the introvert. I used to be the more outgoing and social one, but somewhere along the lines of middle school and high school, we sort of switched that. And for me, I don't mind so much. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm not exactly a recluse per se, but I'm absolutely nowhere near a social butterfly. I do love isolation very, very much. It's very therapeutic. It's very helpful, and only people who feel the same way would, of course, understand.
Right.
But I don't want to single anyone out. If you have an open mind, if you know what it's like to go through a situation like this, then I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the other, for me, one final note on purging. While writing some of these pieces and while meditating, I went through what I like to call, personally, the ocean of emotion, otherwise known as crying. There was a ton of that. It sometimes it hurt to blink afterwards. There was so much. I was kind of making up for lost time. I'm not the most, the societal version of a quote unquote typical man. I'm not really that macho. I'm more of the, I suppose you could say, sensitive type with a sarcastic, cynical exterior.
Yeah, you know, thank you for bringing that up, ZM, because, you know, this is something that happens to everybody, including men. And a lot of, the masculines feel like, well, hey, I'm a man, I shouldn't cry. That's not correct.
Not true at all. If you're human,
not true at all.
If you're human, you need to let it out. That's just
part of it.
That's just the code of nature.
Right. I mean, you need to be dead to not feel.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're dead and still crying, we're gonna run away from you because that's creepy.
So, for all of you men out there, it's okay. It's okay to release and cry and just let it out. And another thing I wanted to mention about this really quickly is that a lot of people who purge sometimes go to, they turn to drinking or something like that to, some habit that is not very positive. So they kind of try to escape, from the situation, but it's better to feel it and spend time in solace to heal faster. It's really the only way to heal. I mean, you can't heal what you're going through by escaping it with alcohol and drinking, I mean, you need to face it, release the poison, yes. And that's it.
Exactly.
So you wanted to talk about a catalyst, correct?
Yes, madam. What
is your experience with a catalyst? Because I myself went through a catalyst as well before meeting my twin. But what is your experience with that?
Well, as I briefly mentioned before, Sonnet, I like I said, I've really been in love, and I've only truly loved someone 2 or 3 times throughout my life, and before I met a dear ex, well, I guess reconnected with a dear ex rather, I was with someone who I suppose I thought I was crazy about, but it was a complete illusion, and it sort of led me to that ex. And then 8 years later, about September of 2016, same thing happened, only except halfway. I met someone, and I thought I was absolutely head over heels. I wanted to, through the years, I had matured into a more rational, logical being, while still having the same hopeless, romantic, sappy part of myself. But I went through the motions, and honestly, from what I learned, she sort of did lead me to something greater. Mm-hmm. My heart opened up again, because for quite a while it was completely chained, completely guarded. Now mm-hmm. my heart is at a balance. I can open it up a little while still remaining completely guarded. And I think what she's led me to is that is to the woman who I've been married to since birth, whose name is Creation. She takes many forms in art, song, literature, film, what have you. And Creation has helped me be the man I am today, has helped shape me and form me and remold me, has helped motivate me, inspire me, sometimes bring me down, but she is always there for me. Creation, you're a goddess, and I love you forever.
That's amazing. Thank you, ZM. You see what I mean, guys? He just has a way with words and feelings.
Oh, shucks.
It's pretty amazing when you are a creative writer. So yeah, catalysts a lot of the times, they help build tolerance for what's to come, and they open up your heart chakra, and they allow you to experience the pain and different things like that. And again, it makes you a stronger individual because of it. It allows you to have experience, to gain the experience for what's to come. It's pretty amazing. So don't hate your catalysts. Don't look down on your catalysts, because they've made you a stronger person. So Thank you. Thank you to all the catalysts, right?
Thank you to all the catalysts for sure. And I didn't want to be a complete monk on this matter per se. I mean, I suppose what it led me towards is if this, I suppose, other half or better half is out there in human form, I like I said, I've learned by now. I've learned years ago actually that love is the most mystical and beautiful emotion and power, in my opinion, anyway. And that you can't force something as beautiful and mystical. You have to let it happen. You have
organically.
Definitely. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself out there into the open field, but at the same time, you have to let that experience happen to you. Mm-hmm. And and this is what for a few years now I've been giving advice actually to many people from around the country. I've been helping them with love-related problems of many different levels. And from what I learned from all this is, like I said, you really don't need anyone. A better half is not required in your life. If anything, in this day and age, true love is not an essential. It is a bonus. As long as you have yourself, your friends, your family, your passion, your health, your career, nothing else matters. And if true love presents itself to you, wonderful. Bring it on. Yes.
And it's also, it starts with loving yourself first. Mm-hmm. Being in love with yourself first.
Because if you cannot love yourself,
you can't love another.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, dong. Okay, so you're going to read something that you wrote for us, right, ZM?
Sort of. I was looking through my pieces. This one was this is the second poem recently that's been published in this brilliant magazine that's journal rather, that's dedicated to mental health and the brain and how the mind works. And it's called The Painted Brain. I wanted to give a nice shout out to them in case any of you have any pieces that are anywhere related to mental health, whether it's anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anything you can think of, really. And this little piece is called I Have Lost Your Memory. I walked down your complex. I distinctly recalled your laugh. I smelled your scent. I lived your life. I wrote your poems. I wrote your lyrics. I sang your songs. I loved your muse. I dreamt your dreams, but I am not you. The streets are still destitute. The quips are just as humorous. Your aroma is ever so thick. The life you live baffles us all. The poetry has become meaningless. The lyrical words do not belong to you. Your songs have destroyed the name of music. The muse, untamed, is forever promiscuous. The dreams are of a visionary, none manifested otherwise. But I am not you. Sweep the streets for your white gold random acts of kindness, forever laughing, no other medicine needed but that grin. What a scent, for it attracts the magnet-headed beings. A life that is full makes for digestive death. Poetry lives, but you shan't last years next to words. These lyrical drafts accompany a masterful melody. A swan song, your legacy, pines for companionship. Promiscuous as it is, the muse is for everyone. Dreams belong to the dreamer, but the dreamer touched my hand. No future plans, no past regrets. I have lost your memory. Whose piece have I been writing? But I am not you. March 1st, 2015.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, ZM. Thank you so much. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you, Sonnet, for having me here. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you, ZM Wise. So that's it. That's it for tonight, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and we will speak to you soon.
Long live love.
Long live the arts.